In this fourth part of the attack on Israel, we are going to review the latest, most significant news. We are not going to talk about numbers of deaths nor specific attacks from one side or the other, but we will see different areas apart from that specific local one. Then, at the end, we are going to show a video that they gave me today, and that really is worth it. Be extremely attentive, because you are going to see how there are people who know much better than others who should know why this is happening. I would like you to look closely, precisely at this cover, because there is a description of the places that are strategic for this whole situation. And yes, it is the esplanade of the temple, or the esplanade of the mosques. It depends on who wants to say things one way or another. Here in Jerusalem, what you see is the Golden Dome, known as the Dome of the Rock. But also, towards us, that's what would be the beginning of our screen, we see the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Yes, it is not the same as the Dome of the Rock, but all of this area is also considered the Al-Aqsa Mosque, all this territory. In short, this is the center of the whole matter. Why the war is this? This? Well, what should come after this, rather? Now, what we are going to do is review the news. Behold, starting October the 18th, anti-Semitic attack in Berlin. Firebombs are thrown at a synagogue. Well, they didn't cause damage, but there it is. Already problems in Europe. And this news also appeared. The United States will support Israel today, tomorrow, and always, says Biden. And here you have it, precisely saying Hamas has committed atrocities. And look, specifically, we will read what is marked in red. He also maintained that his country and its partners in the Middle East are committed to keeping civilians safe. This with the meeting he had with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We will continue to work with you and our partners in the region to prevent further tragedies against innocent civilians, he said, as the military conflict continues to escalate. For his part, Netanyahu promised Biden that the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, will do everything possible to prevent harm to civilians during the military campaign against Hamas in Gaza. As we move forward during this war, Israel will do everything it can to keep civilians out of harm's way. We have asked them and will continue to ask them to move to safer areas, he pointed out. Biden previously spoke about the air attack against the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza, which left at least 500 dead and thousands injured, supporting the Israeli version of the events. Based on what I have seen, it seems that the other team did it and not you, he told the Israeli authorities who met him at Ben Gurion Airport. Therefore, he agreed with Israel. It was not Israel who did this, but the others. In short, it is evidently clear which side they are on. And this is not going to stop here. We will still see more. Because as the situation becomes more complicated, this other news also appeared. US troops in Iraq suffer an attack with drones. The tension is increasing. World oil prices rise amid sharp escalation in the Middle East. Yes, it is the clear consequence of everything, and also one of the reasons for the conflict. Yes, too. And this other news. Look, where the evidence indicates that Hamas probably used North Korean weapons in its attack on Israel. The evidence sheds light on the dark world of illicit arms shipments that North Korea, a country under heavy international sanctions, uses to finance its weapons programs. So, who is involved now too? North Korea. It was to be expected. Here everyone is getting involved in one side or another. There's no more. Israel attacks Lebanon in response to anti-tank missile fire. This was already October the 19th. You realize the expansion of the conflict? Well, there is even more. Look at this. Israel says that its offensive in the Gaza Strip will be difficult, long, and intense. According to Yaron Finkelman, head of the Southern Command of the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli army will defeat Hamas on its territory. This one says it will be difficult, long, and intense. What a panorama, hey? Let's continue. US military bases attacked in Syria and Iraq. You've already realized that this does not stop. A US destroyer intercepts missiles and drones launched from Yemen, potentially towards targets in Israel. According to the Pentagon, land attack cruise missiles and drones have been launched by the Houthi forces and were heading north along the Red Sea. Yes, Yemen also participating in this, the Houthis. And does anyone think that this is going to stop in 4 days? Let's keep going. Orthodox Church of Jerusalem accuses Israel of war crimes after bombing of a temple in Gaza. The churches provide shelter to innocent citizens who have lost their homes due to attacks on residential areas, the institution said. Well, the Orthodox Church of Jerusalem, which is Greek, has said this. Well, few friends are going to be made among those who are living in Israel, and of a certain belief, obviously. Let's continue, because now Petro says Colombia will open its embassy in Ramallah, Palestine. Wow. What do you know? He doesn't want to do anything else, directly this. These are big words. Everyone is taking a position here, which means that once again Latin America is also divided on this issue. And if it is divided on this issue, it will also have problems. And attention to this. A politician says Hamas and Hezbollah plan to open a second front against Israel from Lebanon. The head of Hamas's political office in Beirut claims that Hezbollah is prepared for a major war if the Israelis try to enter Gaza by land. The Hamas movement and the Shiite group Hezbollah are closely coordinating their next steps in the fight against Israel and plan to open a second front from Lebanon, reports the media Politician, referring to the head of Hamas's political office in Beirut, Ahmed Abdul Hadi. The Hamas representative told the outlet that the movement did not warn its ally Hezbollah in advance of its plans to attack Israel on October the 7th, but insisted that there is continued cooperation between the two groups. We have very solid relations with Hezbollah. We have cooperated with Hezbollah before and after the attack on Israel, and now we are in full cooperation, Abdul Hadi asserted, adding that Hezbollah will ignore warnings to stay out of the conflict, especially if Israel tries to enter Gaza by land. Therefore, they can carry on warning them that if they see this happening, you can imagine what they are going to do. Abdul Hadi emphasized that the Lebanese Shiite group had already attacked Israel's positions along the southern border on its own initiative. They say they are prepared for a major war. Hezbollah has made it clear that if the Israelis cross the line, it will launch an all-out attack against Israel, he concluded. Wow, these are quite threats, right? Let's keep going. Here you have them, because these statements that you see here are from Netanyahu, who says, "We are ready." And for what? To win the war. He was among the troops of Israel. But Biden comes out again. This was already October the 20th. If Hamas and Putin do not pay for their actions, there will be more chaos in the world. US President Joe Biden warned that if the Islamic terrorist group Hamas and Russian leader Vladimir Putin do not pay for the pain they have caused in Israel and Ukraine, respectively, more chaos and destruction could be unleashed in the world. Yes, they are not conflicts that have nothing to do with each other. Everything goes together. History has taught us that when terrorists do not pay for their terror and dictators do not face the price of their aggression, they cause more chaos, death, and destruction, Biden said in a speech from the Oval Office of the White House. Biden used the speech as an opportunity to try to convince the American people that the US must play a critical role in defending democracy around the world, an idea that falls within the American exceptionalism that guides the president's foreign policy. In fact, in his speech, he reiterated the notion that the world is at a turning point in which a struggle is being waged between the world's democracies, led by the United States, and defenders of the international liberal order established after the Second World War, against authoritarian models such as China and Russia. Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share something in common. They both want to completely annihilate neighboring democracies, said the American leader. In this regard, Biden affirmed that the meaning of the existence of Hamas, which is considered a terrorist group by the United States, is to annihilate the state of Israel, and said, Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields, and innocent Palestinian families are suffering enormously for it. Meanwhile, Biden noted that Putin denies Ukraine the right to exist as an independent state, and warned that if the West stops supporting Kyiv, the conflict could spread to other parts of Europe, including NATO allies like Poland. That's something. We will defend every inch of NATO, Biden reaffirmed, using words he has used before to show his support for the alliance's principle of collective defense, in which an attack against one member is considered an attack against all. Addressing Americans watching at home, Biden explained in simple language that although these conflicts seem very far away, they are relevant because both allies, and especially America's adversaries, are watching how the nation reacts. We will not allow terrorists like Hamas and tyrants like Putin to succeed. I refuse to allow that to happen. In times like this, we must remember who we are. We are the United States of America, and there is nothing that is not within our reach if we do not do it together, the president concluded. His speech lasted about 15 minutes and was broadcasted live on the country's main television networks. The US presidents often give these type of speeches when they want to convey a sense of gravity and urgency to the nation. This is Biden's second Oval Office speech since taking office in 2021, following another he gave in June on the debt ceiling. Therefore, you see that the statements are forceful, very strong. The United States, yes, must be the global guarantor of safeguarding democracy and everything that is necessary. The others that are not in line are totally enemies, and they are the saviors of humanity. This is very, very interesting, because it is what leads us to affirm that the prophecy told us that the United States would perform this function and that it would also turn out well for them, because the prophecy tells us this. They are not going to succumb so quickly. They will fall in the end. But in the meantime, they will continue to maintain this hegemonic power, and they will do everything to make others give in. And that is a prophecy, and it must be fulfilled, because only then will the papacy take power from their hands. Be clear about this prophecy, because this is the path we are going down. And more news. US will deliver to Israel tens of thousands of artillery munitions that were destined for Ukraine. Israel has warned the United States that it urgently needs artillery munitions to prepare for a ground invasion of Gaza and a potential escalation of the war, Israeli officials told the portal. The portal's sources indicated that the Israeli Defense Forces and the Israeli Ministry of Defense told their US counterparts that they urgently need artillery munitions to prepare for a ground invasion in Gaza and a potential escalation of the war by Hezbollah on the Israeli-Lebanese border. They already fear it. So they need ammunition. And you see where they extract it from now. In this context, the portal points out that in the opinion of US officials, sending these munitions to Israel would have no immediate impact on Ukraine's ability to fight Russian troops. So they wouldn't look so bad because of that. Axios reports that the ammunition is part of the US arsenal located in Israeli territory, in accordance with an agreement reached by the two countries, and which can only be accessed by the US military contingent. However, by obtaining US approval, Israel's military can use the munitions in the event of war. In this context, the portal indicates that Israel was allowed access to weapons during the war against Lebanon, which occurred in 2006, and during the Gaza conflict in 2014. Meanwhile, Pentagon spokesman Patrick Ryder stated that the US is confident that it can support both Ukraine and Israel in terms of their defense needs. On his behalf, the US President Joe Biden announced this Thursday that he would send Congress an urgent request to finance Ukraine and Israel. He stated that the conflict between Israel and Hamas and the war in Ukraine may seem distant, but they do matter to Washington, since it is vital for the national security of the United States. Therefore, as this can also affect them, these measures must be taken. And taken, and well taken, yes, because they are going to supply them. Therefore, do you think that these conflicts are going to end in 4 days, right? Really? Let's keep going. Because here comes a response from someone. It's always been just a calculation. Zakharova on Biden's words that helping Ukraine is a smart investment. And this is what the spokesperson for the Russian Foreign Ministry says. And look how she responds. The spokesperson for the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Maria Zakharova, spoke this Friday about the recent statement by Joe Biden, who described military aid to Ukraine as a smart investment that will pay dividends for the US for generations. It is interesting because from the perspective of both Biden and also the Pope, yes, because we heard it today, they are talking about generations. That everything that is done now will affect generations. At some point, do they consider that this is over? At no moment. And theoretically, both have to do with the Jesuits. Well, someone is going to get a big surprise. Before they called it the fight for freedom and democracy. Now it turns out that it is just a calculation, the spokesperson said on her Telegram channel. It has always been like this. They simply deceive the world, hiding behind values that did not exist for Washington, she added. Zakharova pointed out that wars have always constituted an intelligent investment for the United States, since they have never been fought on its territory, nor have they cared about the consequences they could have for other countries and their people. As they say, it's nothing personal, it's just business, she lamented. As for dividends, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson quoted Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., a U.S. Supreme Court judge during the first 3 decades of the 20th century, who a century ago said, "A man's self-development dies with him, just as his virtues fade from memory. But the dividends of the actions he bequeaths to his children endure and keep his memory green." Apparently, everything died and disappeared for those who judge in this way the dividends obtained through the blood of others, Zakharova concluded. Therefore, you see that here no one is silent, everyone throws stones at each other from all sides, and the conflicts do not stop. Well, anyway, look, the aid package that Biden is asking for is $100 billion. And here they include financing who? Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, as well as for security on the border with Mexico. Yes, Taiwan is also in this situation. Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, the border with Mexico. Do we realize that this is of colossal magnitude? Yes, here we are only presenting what has most directly to do with this issue about Israel, but pay attention whether you like it or not. Everything is also intertwined with the news that we present so many times about the war in Ukraine, about what is also brewing with Taiwan, China, and the United States. This is a non-stop. This is all the same, in different places, but everything is interconnected. And look at this other news. October 20th. Russia will pay the price. An Israeli politician issues live threats. Amir Weizmann, leader of the libertarian faction of the Likud party, told RT in English that the states that condemned the attack on the Al-Ahli hospital are terrorist countries. Look at those statements. First he says, the leader of the libertarian faction of the Israeli ruling Likud party, Amir Weizmann, declared this Thursday that there was no attack on the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza. The politician from the Israeli Prime Minister's party, Benjamin Netanyahu, gave a brief interview to RT in English. Early in the conversation, he was asked about the attack, which, according to the Gaza Strip's health minister, left 471 dead and more than 300 injured in a Gaza hospital. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm not going to let you ask that question. There was no attack on the hospital, Weizmann stated, adding that it is clear that the evidence is outside and everything is out in the open. It is very simple. You can read everything. The mere fact of saying that there was an attack on the hospital, which has not happened, is a lie, he said. According to his words, the claims about the attack come from Palestinian propaganda. Weizmann said that what happened was a war crime committed by the Islamic Jihad or Hamas, which fired a missile from the hospital. After these statements, presenter Rory Suchet reminded the politician that several countries have accused Israel of the attack and condemned this act of aggression. Thus, I mentioned Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Cuba, Turkey, Venezuela and Iran, as well as the African Union. All the countries you mentioned are terrorist countries, Weizmann stated in response. Are they all terrorist countries? Jordan, a US ally, is a terrorist country? Suchet asked after listening to the politician. During the conversation, Weizmann accused RT of being part of Russian propaganda and at the end threatened that the Slavic country would pay the price for supporting the enemies of Israel. You have to be very careful because let me tell you, we are going to end this war. We are going to win because we are stronger. After this, Russia will pay the price. Russia is supporting Israel's enemies. Russia is supporting the Nazis who want to commit genocide against us. And only Russia will pay the price, he threatened. This is very interesting because we are already seeing how, through statements from a politician from the same party as Netanyahu, he is saying something extremely interesting. And that is that Russia and Israel are not going to go together joining hands. Yes, remember about Gog and Magog. Do you remember all those themes? Have you not seen them? Well, now you can start looking at them. They are on the channel because you will see certainly and understand why this is said. Everything is being prepared and the prophecy told us so. And look where this is, in Spain. An anti-terrorist operation in Spain leaves 4 detained for proselytizing and jihadist recruitment. There is fear that something will also happen, not only in Europe in general, but also specifically in Spain. Anyway, you see that the tension is everywhere. And there are still people who say, no, this is nothing to do with the prophecy of the end time. This happens, but it has happened other times. Everyone says that this has reached this magnitude. And everyone, a little serious, recognizes, if they are a little informed, that this is really spreading. And therefore, stay tuned for everything we will see, because this is not going to stop. Even more things will come out. But be careful. We are saying this not only has to do with Israel, nor only with Ukraine. Have you seen also what's happened in Taiwan? Well, obviously more factors will be added, because this problem will grow and grow until it completely explodes. But this is not going to end like this here today in the conference, no. Be attentive to what you are now going to see and hear. Today, they gave me this video, translated automatically with the artificial intelligence system. It is in Russian, but you will hear them speaking in perfect English with their same voices. Well, this is what artificial intelligence is achieving. I hope now it will be much cheaper and we could translate all the videos into all languages and spread them all over the world so that people would know the message soon, very soon. Hopefully, this will be adjusted like this so that it can become a total option to give the final message to the world. Let's pray for that. But as I told you, this video is just a fragment of a television program in which they interview a Russian nun. Be attentive, because there are so many people that do not realize why there is this war. And what do you know? This woman says it with amazing clarity, because she comments on the war in Jerusalem, and look what she gets to say. Remember, the links to these videos are on the description. You see that it is only a fragment of this broadcast, but she is clear and resounding. This war is coming because those mosques, that area of Al-Aqsa, the one that I told you on the cover to take a good look at, what appeared there must disappear, because the third temple of Jerusalem must be placed there, and all that is obviously connected. You already know to what? To a red cow. A red heifer that in few months, approximately 10, will be old enough to be sacrificed and will meet the requirements that they sought for so many years to purify that area and the people with its ashes, and of course, to be able to build the third temple of Jerusalem. And as she says, for the appearance of the Messiah, the false Messiah, Satan posing as Christ. And even so many people who have not found out why this war is happening. And what do you know? A Russian nun does know. Of course, it is sad that these people know this, and that the Seventh-day Adventists, who were the ones who should have been announcing this for so many years, that it would happen, have betrayed God and prophecy, keeping it quiet and distorting all of this. Thank God, who raised up the fourth angel ministry from the Adventist Church to tell the message that the Adventist pioneers said, and stop with the nonsense. Give the message that the world needs, and that the world now, many are raising many questions, and it is time to tell them what is behind it, what moves all this. And there are people who are waking up, I assure you, because every day we are meeting people, every day. Yes, you talk to them a little about this, and you can give them the message right away, because people are eager to know. And many who are not stupid, thank God, realize that there is something behind all this. And in the moment you tell them the reason, with 4 little things, they no longer doubt that this is so. Well, wait to see the new conferences that we will do live from our new premises with God's help. And you will see how the Holy Spirit is going to move people so that they come, know, share, and accept what is so necessary for them to do. Prepare for the coming of Christ and give themselves to the Lord. And the message will spread everywhere until it reaches the whole world. It is prophecy, and this will also be fulfilled. We will finish here today. Attention, because tomorrow we are going to have a colloquium that will be the continuation of the one we had in Seville, which has to do with this same topic. We are going to first show some information that has nothing to be wasted, and then we will open the discussion so that we can show once again everything that there is and everything that will be. Remember history, look at the present, and know what will happen in the future. Because God, through his prophets and apostles, left it written, and thank God, Adventist pioneers knew that this was so. Now, practically everyone has already deviated. Adventists and those who have left the Adventists to form other groups or churches. But we will continue to maintain the truth of the pioneers, giving the clear message. And of course, may the Lord awaken all who he can to accept the truth and prepare for the soon return of our Lord. Before finishing, I want to thank those of you who are donating so that we can continue doing this work. And please keep in mind that from now on, donations, tithes, offerings, direct them directly to this account that appears here, be it PayPal or be it to the bank account, CaixaBank. It is no longer the one we had shown months ago. This is the current one from a few weeks ago. Therefore, please send it directly here. The work of the Lord is growing and will not stop, but we all have to get to it in one way or another. Yes, we already know we are putting ourselves on the line by telling the truth. But a Christian must tell the truth, whether others like it or not, because the salvation of many is at stake. Maranatha 2031. God bless you.